paid.
Denise, say that again.
Sure, absolutely, not a problem. We just got back from Italy. We hadn't been on vacation in like 13 years, and we went for 2 weeks. And I wanted to thank you again because though we did charge some things, because that's just, we couldn't carry all that cash around. Before we left, and it's thanks to you that I wrote out a check for basically the entire 2-week trip, which was a lot of money, but it was there. And that's the first time I'm almost 59. That's the first time ever I have paid for basically an entire trip before I left. So before I left the country or left wherever I was going. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing.
Denise, oh my gosh, that is freaking awesome. And what a way to start this call. I had to hit record. I'm not crying. You are? Okay. Wow. And
yeah.
How does your husband feel coming back knowing that you're not hit with a mountain of bills? How does that feel?
Well, I'd have to go ask him. He's never really ran up debt. I did in the past. I did go on vacations and just charge, and then a month or so later you get the bill and you feel like garbage, or I did. And I did that for quite some time, and I had debt at one time. Never got in trouble, but did have to have a serious talk with myself and cut up my cards years and years ago. But I never went on a trip where I wrote out a check and paid for the flight, which was over $6,000. That's a lot of money for me. And all the tours and the trains and the ferries and it's just a really, really good feeling. So I feel amazing, and I just wanted to thank you because it's part of this group that I took the chance to go, because we do need to live our lives. But I just can't thank you enough that I will get a little bit of a bill. I know that, like I said, we couldn't carry all of those euros around.
Right.
But it's not going to be anything compared to what it would have been or what I've done in the past, where I just charged everything. So it's a really good feeling. Yeah.
All right. So my second question, Denise, was it worth it?
Was it worth going on the trip, you mean? Or was it worth paying for it up front?
The whole kit and caboodle, that, as you said, was a big chunk of change. Was it worth it? Putting the steps into place that you incorporated from my encouragement and teaching. There were some sacrifices on the front end. There was some learning the new habits, and you did that, and you put work into it, and then you paid out this, nice sized chunk of change. Was all of that worth it to go on this trip and to have the experience you had?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm still learning, and that's why I'm looking forward to your class that's coming up, because I have by no means mastered anything. But because of your encouragement, which I think it was last November, maybe, that you had given us a challenge, and I started to just not use my credit card. And if I did, I immediately went and wrote a check to that. So because of that mentality, I then looked over and I said, I've been in my job, I have to put away for taxes. They don't take it out. And I looked over and I said, you know what? I have a good chunk of change here, and you have not used it. And it just felt really good to do this for my family, because we hadn't been on a real vacation, like I said, in over 13 years. We did like 2 days to Hershey or Lancaster, but this was 2 weeks in Italy. I'd never taken a trip like that. So yeah, was it worth it? Yes, because we need to be mindful. We need to be good stewards of our money, but we also need to enjoy the lives that God has given us and the people that we're with. And I would not change that experience. We really, my husband and my daughter and I, just had a wonderful time. So you can't put a price tag on that. So yes, was it worth it? Your lessons are worth it. And the little effort it took to write that check, because that did, it hurt, but it felt so good that it was there and I could do it. So everything, yes, it was worth it.
Wow.
The steps are worth it. I can't wait to learn more and grow. I really can't. I thank you.
Wow. Well, Denise, okay, again, like this is why I do this, and thank you for sharing. And it is a perfect segue into tonight's topic of investment versus poverty mindset. And before I start, I know there are a lot of new people in our group, so if you've just joined and you're watching the replay, which is usually posted within 24 hours, welcome, welcome. And as Denise just shared, does not matter where you're starting from. There is a place to go. You can get there. And Denise said she hasn't mastered it all yet. Neither have I. But can you imagine saying, yeah, I haven't mastered it, but now I'm going to Italy and I paid for the trip before I went, a 2-week trip to Italy, and my mouth is watering just thinking of the food. I'm sure it was freaking incredible. So awesome. So welcome to everybody that's here. Start looking at the videos, start posting any little sprout. If you paid an extra $1 towards your debt after listening to these lessons, then post it. I paid $1 more this month towards my debt than last month. Don't say, well, it's just $1, it doesn't really count. That's the poverty mindset. But if you say, hey, I'm new to this, but I did $1. I invested $1 towards my future by paying something down. It's always either an investment mindset or a poverty mindset. Number 2, I want to thank Denise and Grace for being here. These are the people to watch because they take action, they show up. You cannot just sit back and watch the videos. If you're going to do that, you might as well, go to TikTok and just watch videos because this is not designed to be entertainment. Although I hope we have some good stories and some entertaining stories, this is designed for you to just put one baby step in front of the other and keep doing it. There's also other people in our group like Andrea and Kayla, people that have taken action, and it doesn't matter if it's sloppy action. It doesn't matter if you don't think the action is good enough. Any action is better than no action. So thank you. So I am going to tell you my story again, since we have a lot of new people here, and there might be a little new tidbits, Grace and Denise, that you haven't heard about my story. But when I got married, my husband owned some properties, and I had student loans of $18,000. And we brought them together and canceled each other out and started at 0. So I definitely changed. I had problems with understanding the proper mindset when it came to money. My family never shared with me about money. They never talked with me about money. They thought I wouldn't understand it. When I was in college, I ended up leaving college. I got a job to go from Florida to California. It's a great job. The company went out of business, but I had a credit card. And the credit card, every month with my statement, they would send me these cute little convenience checks. And I was like, well, the company is out of business. I guess I should go look for a new job. And I'm in California. I want to go to the beach. I want to party. I'm in my 20s. Let me just take that little convenience check and pay my rent with it. Yeah, not a good idea. I was stealing from my future. I was impoverishing myself and making the bankers rich. There were certainly a lot of other issues that happened. I ended up owing a lot of money. I don't know how much money it was because I tried to block that. It was traumatic. It's probably at least $30,000 when you're in 20s. And it was not even the $30,000 that I owed wasn't even student debt. So that was crazy. That was consumer debt. Eventually, I paid it off, and I worked with creditors, because when you owe debt, you have to pay interest on it. It's not a free loan. And just as a tidbit, this is a recent bit of news. Credit card debt in America has just surpassed $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Our minds cannot even comprehend that. I mean, think of 100 million, think of 900 million, think of 999 million. That's an obscene number. Then we go up to $1 trillion of credit card debt in America. And guess how much interest they're charging now? 29.9%. Wow. Somebody is getting rich off the people. So, but they have an investment mindset. They don't have a poverty mindset. So this, again, this is what we're going to talk tonight about, the investment mindset versus the poverty mindset. To go on with my story, as I married my husband, we got a mortgage, we got a house, we got the car, we had 2 incomes, and then guess what happened? You know, we're paying all the bills. We got 2 incomes, we got the brand new house, we're living the American dream. Said I couldn't have children, so no children. Let's get the bigger house. Let's get the nicer car. Let's live our life. The day before my hysterectomy, I was pregnant. They said, don't tell anybody. Do not tell anybody, because we didn't even think you could get pregnant. You're going to see us every single week till you're out of the danger zone. Don't get your hopes up. Of course, we were overjoyed. As soon as I was pregnant, I knew this child is going to come out perfect. This is a gift from God. I knew it, and he was born, and it was a blessing. I was going to go back to work in 3 months, still have the 2 incomes, still live in the American dream, and it was apparent that I wanted to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. Dropped our income. Then he ended up having 2 years going into Miami Children's Hospital. So he had a problem, Miami Children's Hospital, driving back and forth for 2 years. I had to have 5 surgeries. So there's a lot more medical debt. It might have been, again, as I said, with my debt in my 20s, it was traumatic. I blocked it out. It might have been $80,000 in medical debt between us, and 1 income. But you know what? Everybody has debt, right? It's normal. That was our mentality. And that might be the normal, but it's not what God designed us to be. God designed us to be free. And as Denise shared right at the beginning of this call, she followed instructions. She listened to what I was teaching. She applied it, and she didn't take everything at once. She grabbed onto one thing, and that was how to change your credit card habit. She grabbed onto one thing. So whatever you were listening to here, if you find one thing, grab onto that, hold on to that, and master that. And Denise, I really think you have mastered the credit card strategies. You've really done it. So she paid for her Italy trip, and she put the hard work in. But in the Bible, Jesus said, I came to give you life, and life to the full. Life and life to the full. Is that slavery? Is that bondage? No, it's freedom to live our lives. And we are stuck in the poverty mindset. We're stuck in debt slavery because nobody taught us. I didn't learn it in school. I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook in school. I didn't learn how to manage credit in school. What did I learn in school? I can't remember, honestly. Really think about what you came out of school with, whether it's high school or college. Um, it's by design. I believe it's by design. We have all these smart people putting us through a system. And what has the system done? Look at the fruit in America. Credit card debt just surpassed $1 trillion. And there are people that are very happy about that. $1 trillion at up to 30% interest. Do you think the people making that money want to change the educational system to bring up a generation of people that are financially free? No, no. Whew, I just got chills. But there's a way out. So went through all of this, paid down the debt, paying extra, got some side gigs, sold some of my stuff on eBay, ended up tutoring, and that allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom. That really allowed me to take care of my son. We homeschooled, so it was one income, but I still felt like we couldn't get ahead. I heard this expression, at the end of the month, do you find that you have more month than money? And at the end of every month, I was like, the money ran out, but there's still some days that we gotta get by. What happened? So for me, you've heard me say we paid off $92,000 of debt in 12 months. And we paid that off after I found out that my friends went to First Steps to Success. We talked about it. Danny Johnson was running the company. Now there are other people running the company that are surpassing Danny. Danny would have been a poor leader if she could not raise up other people to do better than herself. And she's done it. This weekend was amazing. But I'm like, okay, I have to spend money to go to that, and I have to fly somewhere, and I need a hotel room. This was before Zoom. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe when I pay off my debt, then I will take the course on how to get out of debt. Let's think about that logic. Wait until I pay off debt before I find out how all of my friends learned to pay off debt by going to First Steps to Success. So when I finally went, it took me a couple of years. I took my whole family, and my husband sat like this the whole time. I was like, don't worry, you can get your money back. It's okay. At the end of the 3 days, he said, this is the best thing we've ever taken our family to. So through those teachings, and I did not apply all the teachings. I was focused on money. I'm like, show me the money. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about starting a business. We actually had dropped our income by that time. I stopped tutoring. So during that year, we applied every strategy about paying down our debt, every debt strategy we could, one at a time. 12 months later, $92,000 of debt was paid off. We're mortgage free. We stayed mortgage free. And again, this was after our income dropped, which is ironic. You would think that we would need more income. Now, eventually, we worked on the strategies to increase income, and we'll talk about that a little later tonight with the investment portion. But it's possible. It is possible. And if you're not there, it's because nobody taught you. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. And if there's one key takeaway, if you have to run out of this meeting right now, and you know what, I don't want to go over an hour. I told my husband I'm going to try and keep it at 30 minutes, but I always like to chit chat with you guys a little bit beforehand. Speak life over yourself. Write down something. What have you said? And you can put it in the chat box. What have you said to yourself concerning money that was not true? What have you said about money that you believed or that you don't want it to be true? I'll give you some examples from my life. Um, we're just average people. Everybody's in debt. Everybody's in debt, so it's okay to be in debt. This is just our lot in life. This is just our lot in life. This is just who we are. It's more spiritual to be poor because money is the root of all evil. It's more spiritual to be poor. And the scripture is the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. So they twist that. Grace says, we'll always have farm debt and farmers can't retire. Okay, so let's change that here and now. I want you to think about what your negative thing is, because I'm going to give you some spiritual insights. And if you're an atheist or if you have a different religion, that's okay, because these spiritual truths go across everything. You reap what you sow. Even if you're an atheist, you know that. If you curse everybody out your whole life, some people are going to curse you out. You reap what you sow. See, Brenda says, just have to accept that our children will inherit our mortgage. Ouch. Okay, so that's leaving a legacy, but that's not the legacy we want to leave. So for yourself, think about a way to switch that. We just have to accept that our children will inherit our mortgage. How about God designed us to leave a legacy of life, and we will strive to leave a legacy of life to our children. Or God designed us to be a free people. I will instill that legacy in our children. Grace says, we will always have farm debt and farmers can't retire. All right, there's a lot there. How about, Grace, I know you are a spiritual woman. In the Bible, God did not have any of his people in debt for longer than 7 years. And I believe he designed it that way. And when I read that, I was like, God does not want us to be in debt for longer than 7 years. So if that is God's plan for us, I'm going to work on it. That's what opened up my eyes. So Grace, maybe you want to say, God, yeah, you say, you now know that's not true, right? So, so say, God desires the best for us, and we will retire debt-free. God wants us to have freedom in all things, and we'll retire debt-free. Whatever you want to do, make it personal. So if that's all you get, bye-bye, you can take that with you, because your mind will not bring you to a place of freedom if you are saying those negative things. Gloria says, I can't afford to travel because I am broke. Okay. Christ came to heal the broken. Gloria, Christ came to heal the broken. So I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, and he will lead me to the steps I need. Okay, that's a very long sentence, but you get what I'm saying. You can truncate it. We're not broken in Christ. Christ is always here to heal us. God is always here to give us our best lives. And again, if you have a different religion than I do, I love you. I don't judge you. Spiritual truths are spiritual truths, no matter who says them. So, investment versus poverty mindset. What's the difference? The people that are investing in their future versus the banker's future, or versus somebody else's future, They ask different questions. Okay, so what's the difference? They're asking different questions. Gloria says, I'm just a disgruntled retiree. Oh, Gloria, you're awesome. I'm so glad when you show up. You are phenomenal. And your daughter is amazing. You've raised a beautiful daughter. All right, so asking different questions. Also, they spend time differently. They spend their hours differently. All of the super rich people, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, you might not like him, Trump, who else? The Rockefellers, they have the same 24 hours a day that we have, but they spend their time differently. They spend their time with a different set of people. And Brenda, I don't know if you have children, but I know everybody else does. Do you ever tell your children, do you ever see like a bad apple and you're like, don't hang out with that person? Why do you tell them that? You know, bad habits can rub off. Okay. So if we as moms tell that to our children, what does God want to tell us? You want to hang around people that are going to lift you up. If you're hanging around negative people, you're going to be absorbing those negative thoughts and those negative patterns and those negative words. Hang around Grace, hang around Denise, hang around, people that have what you want. Hang around those people. Gloria's always, she's showing up. She's here. She's commenting. Hang around Gloria. And Brenda, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled that you're here. You are in the right spot because this group of people will lift you up. So a few comments. Get the scripture verse that you were quoting me. All right. I will look those up afterwards for you, Gloria, if you can remind me, because I definitely, I love to write down scriptures and hold them to me. And then finally, they speak differently. And we just talked about that. In the Bible, God spoke and the world came into existence just by his words. If you have negative thoughts, keep them to yourself. I am working on this. I am working on it. Sometimes I want to share something with my husband, in insecurity or where I failed. And I'm really careful to word it in a way that doesn't say, I sucked at that. I am stupid. I cannot believe that I'm so dumb. Like things like that. I am trying to say, I am smart, but I did something that I don't want to do again, but I learned from it. Really how we speak is powerful. Because there's a foundation before you can even pay off debt or get to your goals. You need to believe that it's possible. Thank you, Denise. It is hard. One of the teachers that I worked with, when kids would run down the halls, instead of saying, don't run, stop running, that doesn't work because the last word that the child hears is run. So it's still programming their mind to run. She would always say, walk, walk. So I was like, wow, that really helped with programming the mind. Going to see if I have another scripture here for you. When you use those words, it is a curse. You don't want to curse yourself. You don't want to curse your children. Spoken words, whether they're intentional or unintentional, can be either a blessing or a curse when they're spoken out loud. And if you're writing down scriptures, that's Matthew 12, 34 through 36. There are a bunch of curses in the Bible, but it happens by speaking out loud. And again, as I said, God created everything, the visible and invisible, by only his word. And if you're looking for scriptures, that's Genesis 1 through 3. and Hebrews 11, verse 3. Out of our mouth comes cursing and blessing, but it should not be so. That's James 3:10. James 3:10. But if you have water coming out of a spring, it's going to be either fresh or it's going to be salty. It can't be both. So out of our mouths, we want the fresh water coming out to speak over ourselves and our children and those that we love. Matthew 18:18 says, whatever we bind or loose on earth will be so in heaven. So, bind what you don't want, claim what you do, speak blessings over yourself. So that, yeah, there's that could be like a whole 3-hour spiritual lesson about that, but you get the idea. So here's some examples. You need to start asking the right questions. You need to start asking the right questions. So I'm going to give you an example of the wrong question. Has anybody ever gone shopping for a new or used car? Has the salesman ever said, how much do you want to pay per month? How much can you afford per month? Okay, that is the wrong question. Never answer that question, because then they're like, they can sell you whatever price they want, but then you'll be paying it for, 10, 15, 20. That's crazy. No, that is a question designed to keep you in poverty. Don't answer that question. And if you are going shopping for a new car, don't talk about money in the car lot. Say, I don't talk about my personal finances out in the open. But if I decide that something is to my liking, then we can go talk in a private office. Yeah, don't let them trap you in that. How much is it? How much is it? Okay, you might think that's a better question. I'm not going to tell you, how much I can afford per month, but how much is it? And we're talking about more of investment type purchases. If you're buying a can of beans at the grocery store, yeah, ask how much it is. Find the cheapest can of beans, because beans are beans, all right? But if you're looking at something, you want to know the value. What is the value that it will give me? Investment people call it ROI, return on investment. And I'll give you an example. My son just bought a computer. He wanted a laptop computer so he could carry it. He was going to get the base model for $500. He called me while I was in Georgia, actually, for First Steps to Success. And he's like, hey, Mom, can I talk to you? Should I get the $500 computer or the $800 computer? That is not the right question to ask me. I asked him, what do you want to use it for? Well, the 500 I can use for school. It's the basics. But with the $800 one, I can do the flight simulation. Now, he wants to be a pilot. He just passed his FAA written. That's what he wants for a career. So I said, well, how is the $800 one? Is that going to give you more value? Are you going to need to buy a whole other computer down the line to do what you want to for the career that you're working towards? So I didn't tell him which one to buy. I just asked him the right questions. And can you guess which one he chose? You can type it in. Take a guess. $500 or the $800? The base model. Okay, $800. Brenda, you got it. Yeah, the $800. Because it wasn't about the price point, it was about the value. It's always about the value. There's the saying, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. It's about the value. So, you know, and that even goes back to where my very first steps to success weekend. I didn't want to spend the money because I did not understand the value. I was just looking at a price tag. And when I got there, I was like, if I would have listened to my friends, I would have been out of debt 3 years earlier. 3 years. Now, I don't know if everybody has a mortgage, but I had a mortgage. I'm trying to think of how much money I was paying per year on interest alone. But it was I probably would have saved $30,000 on interest alone if I would have been out of debt 3 years earlier, if I would have gone when my friends first asked me. So instead of me grumbling over $300 for a ticket, or $1,000 for my whole family to go, or $2,000 because we had transportation and food, instead of being like, oh, I can't spend $2,000, I could have thought, what if I pay my debt off faster? Would you be willing, you know, I should have asked myself, Larissa, would you be willing to spend $2,000 to reduce your interest payments by 30,000? Is that a good deal? Pay 2,000, get 30,000. That's a freaking awesome deal. But I didn't know it now. Nobody taught me those things. So it took me longer. So I made mistakes. That's why I have this free group. That's why people have had success in this free group, because nobody taught me. I want to raise you guys up. That's my mission. My mission is between me and God, have a great relationship, for me to love my husband, love my son, and then you ladies are number 3. Because it hurts my heart to see the people that God created in slavery. And it's so wrong. And I'm just one little person. I'm not too far ahead of you guys. I started my journey in 2019. It's 2023. What is that? 4 years? 4 years. Where could you be in 4 years? How much longer do you have on your mortgage? Do you have 20 years? Maybe you can pay it off in 4 or 5 or 6. So, so that's it. I wrote this down today. Greeddom or freedom? Greed or freed? A lot of times, we think about what we're buying because we see everybody else buying. I do not know if anybody has an iPhone. If you do, that's fine. But I know people that are getting iPhones every year. I don't know, what are they, like $1,000? But then they're complaining that they're in debt. Do we really need a new iPhone every year? You know, that's just an example. So there's a lot of things. How can I think about paying down debt when I need to increase income first? It's another question I got asked. It's really, again, it's not the right question. It's how can I pay down debt with where I'm at right now? How can I make better choices right now? And then there's another question. It's really, how can I make better choices? Do you really, and increasing your income can sometimes be a myth, because lottery winners, like 90% of them are worse off than when they started. So it's not about more income. And what do people do when they get a raise? They increase their lifestyle. They don't pay off debt. So again, increasing the income is not going to help you if you don't know how to manage what you have. Be faithful with the little. And be faithful with the little. Find out where you're at, find out where your income is, and make better choices. Learn how to make better choices by asking more questions. When are they coming to the Northeast? Denise says. I guess that's about first steps to success. They're going to Houston in October, I believe, Denise. So that's October 2023. So that's a little closer to you. And I'm going to share a little bit about my investment mindsets, and then we'll open it up to questions. We will be out of here before 9. One of my first big investments, this was before I ever went to First Steps or ever heard of Danny Johnson. I went to a real estate conference with my husband. It was $5,000 for the weekend. $5,000. I'm like, my mom did real estate. We can do it. Let's pay $5,000. Oh my gosh. I did not make any money. I got a mentor. It was not for me. I spent $5,000. It was not for me. I was like, that's $5,000 down the drain. I was crushed. I was crying. My husband was awesome. He's like, I believe in you. But after a month, like nothing was working out. I felt like a complete and utter failure. Failure. Like, oh my gosh. Now, you do reap what you sow. A couple years later, I did have the opportunity to do a little real estate flip. I think we made like $23,000 on it. So eventually, years down the road, some of that information helped. But yeah, that was a hot mess. But that also made me a little gun shy to go to First Steps for Success. But $5,000 versus $300 for a ticket. And it was amazing that my first steps to success gave me so much more value than that $5,000 real estate conference. But I didn't know. I know Tony Robbins, he charges anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for his weekend, and people go and they get value out of it. I actually worked for one of Tony Robbins' companies when I was in California for a short time on a part-time basis. But I do love the Destiny Global Company because they make it accessible, because they want to help people, but there's still a cost. The hotel still charges for their conference rooms, the gas, the gas stations still charge for gas to get everybody over there. Gloria says she spent more than that on real estate. Okay, I'm looking for that. On real estate after I retired. Said to myself afterwards, are you crazy, Gloria? And Gloria, I've learned, Hans calls it a tuition payment. If you spend money, if you make a mistake, learn from it. It's a tuition payment. So that's what I have for you. I'm going to recap. Speak life. Choose your phrase to speak life over yourself. Number 1. Number 2, start asking yourself better questions. Start asking yourself questions that the rich ask, that the wealthy ask. Spend time, and so that's number 2. Ask those questions. Next, spend time with people that are going to raise you up. Spend time with people that are trying to do better. That does not mean that if you have people in your family that are always negative, that you're going to cut them off and never spend time with them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying feed yourself, fertilize your little self, fertilize your pot with the good things, and then still love on your family or friends that are negative, but don't pitch a tent there and live there. And that's it. And think, when you make your purchases, greed versus freed. greedom versus freedom. Think about the return on your investment. Think about the return. Is an iPhone every year a good return on your investment? No. Is out the gate spending $5,000 on a seminar a good investment? I don't know. Maybe you want to start with a book first. Maybe you want to start with The Millionaire Next Door. Invest in that book. Read the book. Maybe then you want to move up $300 for a weekend ticket that could change your life. Then you might want to move on to that. You guys know I do coaching. You know, the prices are up on the Destiny Global website. You can have a package of 4 or 8 or different classes or Life Map that's $29 a month and watch it. But don't buy the book and not read it. That's not a good return on your investment. If you know you hate reading, don't buy the book, get the audiobook so you can listen to it. So that's where we're at for today. And I really hope this is helpful. Like, I have so much more, but I plan on being here once a week to give you guys something and connect with you. So I'm done. Any questions? Any thoughts? Denise, you're phenomenal. Thank you, Denise. You guys can unmute if you like.
Something that jumped out at me, thank you again for what you do. But something that just stood out to me, and I made a little asterisk by here, it says, what you said was be faithful with a little. I wrote down, be faithful with a little first. So I have struggled with money and the way I spend it, et cetera, for quite a long time. And I'm starting to get a handle on it, thanks to you. But I think that just clicked for me for some reason. So I'm hoping going forward, as I am in real estate, it is tough. If I grasp onto that and really try to be faithful with whatever it is, that will then blossom, because it's biblical, you know, to just be faithful in the little things. So thank you. That for some reason stuck out to me.
Awesome. I hold on to that too. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Well, I found out that I had something else planned because I didn't check my email today because I was doing other things. When I check my email, like after 7, I said, oh my gosh, I double book or triple book myself, but I have to hear what you have to say. So one of the things that I should have gone to at 8 o'clock, I did not go to it at all.
I'm glad you're here. It's, you know, we had the break for the summer, but I'm glad you made it, Gloria. It's always awesome to see your face. Thank you.
I love how you talked about the Bible saying we can be out of debt, or God's plan was for the Israelites to be out of debt in 7 years, because it was like a goal that I can work towards.
Awesome. Yeah, and it is doable. God wants us free, and keep on plugging in, you ladies. I'm grateful for you. If you're watching the replay, I know Brenda had to jump off. So glad you're here. If you're new to the group, welcome. And yeah, take one thing, be faithful with the little, hold on it, do it, and keep stepping forward. So I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. And if you are interested in the 8-week class, I will be honest with you, I've had some tech issues trying to figure out how to send stuff. So what I lack in my technical skills, I will learn and I will get better. But you know that I'm passionate, and you know you guys have gotten results from listening and applying. So I love you guys, and I will find a different way to get the information out to you. So thank you for your patience. And yeah, we're always learning. I'm always learning for real as well. So good night, and we'll see you next Thursday, 8 o'clock.
Thank you so much, Larissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.